Hi folks, how you going? This is the first episode of the Guitar Cast, and we're very excited this week that we've got our first guest for the show, which is Mr. Guy Cooper.
Yeah.
How are you, mate?
It's good, man. How you going? Thanks
yeah,
for having
really
me
well.
on.
Yeah, excited to have you here, and this is your place. I mean, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know Guy, Guy is the man, the genius behind all the production that you see when I'm playing. So we're here at Serotonin Production Studio on the beautiful Gold Coast.
That's right. You got it right. Nice
what's
work.
that?
You got it right.
I got it right. Yes, I got it right that time. Yeah.
Yes.
I always fumble when I say that. But this is the new studio because you've been in business for over
25 years.
25 years now.
Yeah. Yes.
That's incredible.
Cheers, man. It's, I'm tired.
You tired?
Yeah, no.
You don't look tired.
No. I'm passionate about music, but tired.
You look youthful for your age.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, love to have you here at the new studio. It's it's wonderful being in this space. And,
it's always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I think you saw the old studio over in Ashmore.
I did. I was going to say, because I first met you back in 2009.
Wow.
So I think, and we're at Brooksy's house.
Oh, Brooksy's, yes.
Downstairs in the jam room.
Yes.
Yeah, and the first thing that struck me about you was not just the blue hair you had at the time, but after talking to you was your long list of achievements that you'd already done at such a young age. So you had completed your degree in music at the Queensland Conservatorium with honours.
Yes.
Yep. And you were already lecturing at the Queensland Conservatorium and SAE. You built your own studio from home, which is the old one at Ashmore.
Yes.
And you recorded some ridiculous amount of bands.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of bands. It's
huge. And now, fast forward, what are we now? 2024, so 15 years.
Wow.
And how many bands have you recorded now? Over 2,000?
Yeah, over 2,000 songs and albums. They're littered around the walls in here.
Yeah.
I do keep track of everything because I like the numbers. The stats keep me safe at night.
Yeah, stats are good.
Yeah.
Stats feel good, right?
Yeah, there's so many wonderful bands and musos. And,
it's
looking back, it's such a pleasurable experience to be able to help them with their music. Yep. And it's funny, I see an artwork for an album and it's hard to describe how much effort and hours went into that one thing, 700-800 hours possibly per album. I think we're up to about 47,000 hours all up for my producing career. And that's not kind of playing, just the producing. But I remember we were tracking your band at the time when I first met you.
Yeah.
A new band called Jack 7.
Jack 7.
That was that album.
Don't listen to them.
We recorded the guitars twice for that. That's what I love it.
Yes.
Because you and I tracked them all and we spent ages on all the little parts and then we decided there was a little bit too much gain.
Yes.
And we went back and retracked the entire album again, which was well worth it. I'm so glad we did that. We didn't just try and fix it.
No.
That was fun.
Could we fix it?
Maybe. I don't want to talk about it. It's too long. It's in the past.
I know.
But I remember you had 7 or 8 guitars down at the time. We had a plethora of Messer and Marshall amps. And
so much good.
Oh, man. It's like a candy store with the guitar pedals and guitars and just going through section after section for that whole album. I don't think the others are there for that. They bailed.
No, they didn't want to be there for it. Yeah, they were busy. Yeah.
Real busy. Brooksy.
Yeah, busy. Yeah.
Busy people.
But that's one thing I noticed about you was that your studio, even now, is not just it's not just the same as other studios, how you come in, record, thank you very much. You really do work with artists to develop them. And like you were saying, with double tracking our guitars. So that was to track all 12 songs the first time around. How many hours was that?
Well, we must spend at least 60 hours on that.
Yeah.
And then just to delete all that and go again. I think it's... over the years, you understand that, anyone can record a file, but for us, it's about not just producing the song, but producing the artist.
Right.
And taking those artists in. And it's so hard to make money in music. Yeah. And we know that because we play in bands ourselves. I run a label. So we really want to service the artist and make sure that they're, producing something that they're stoked and happy with, but something that they can actually carry forward with their career. And that often means that, we need to redo stuff, or sometimes albums take 2 years. Sometimes they take 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's just doing the right thing by the artist and by the music is kind of what we stand for in the studio. And building that idea around community and around musicians is so important. And I mean, we've all heard sort of horror stories of being in a studio where the owner's a jerk and, people were just sort of pushed out the door and pushed in and looking at the clock. We don't really book 2 clients on any one day. If we go over, we go over. If we need to retrack something, we just retrack it. We work with the artists until they are super excited, not just, here's my album, but we rush with the vocals and they want to show people, this is my new song. We kick ass.
Yeah.
have that confidence and energy. And that's what I've learned like over the years, that, you can do a lot of things in life for money, but if you're going to choose to do music and do art, you've got to be passionate about it. And it's hard work, and you've got to be willing to do that hard work. We've seen interns come and go because they're just not willing to spend 14 hours all day working on a hi-hat pattern or whatever it happens to be. I think if you're in this, you've got to be in it with your full heart and soul and dedicated to do that hard work. And it doesn't feel like work. It feels like fun. And I think that shines through with our clients when they keep coming back, because they notice that we put in the extra, not even extra yard, the extra 10 miles on any album that we do. And it's that hard, passionate work, I think, that really drives us forward. And it's not worth it otherwise for me. If the artist just wants to come in, track their stuff and be done quick, I'm just like, I'm done. Like, move on, find some other studio.
It shows. I mean, I noticed that when I first started coming down to you with Jack 7, that you really did care about your craft, but also the musicians you were working with. Yes, it is a business for you, but like we're saying, like, it wasn't like another studio where, okay, well, it's 5 o'clock, we got to go home. Like, you'd work, or we could come back and redo things until we were happy. Which I guess took the anxiety off the artist too. Like, I've got to get it right, and now it's not right.
Watch the clock, and it actually goes quicker when you're like that. If you don't, we don't charge per hour. Usually we charge per song, and so it's just we take as many times as it takes to get it right. And the artist sometimes doesn't know, or you rushed into the studio, you're caught in traffic, you've had a bad day, you're not going to sing well. We do 20 minutes of vocals and just like, let's go to the beach and we'll come back tomorrow and try again. And you can hear the vibe and the energy and the relaxation intakes. I think we're trying to create a space here that's comforting and warm. You can put your drink down there. Yes, you can smoke over there. Yes, you can do what you need to do in the environment. You don't need to feel like this is a lab where you can't touch stuff. Put your feet on the couch and relax, enjoy yourself.
I love your couches.
They're lovely.
You can't see the couches, but they're good couches.
They're heavy couches.
Every studio needs a good couch. You got two.
Two nice leather couches, but they were heavy.
Vibe's a big thing, isn't it, for recording? Like you can have sometimes, because you have amazing equipment, you have all the best of the best. But even so, like if the artist or whoever's playing guitar or drums isn't in that right vibe, that captures, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It comes through.
I think that's like half the job as a producer is almost like psychologist down that talkback microphone, being able to get on there and not just help them through the take and understand the musicality part of it, and obviously all the equipment and gear. That all needs to be set and done, and then you need to move on to make them feel comfortable and relaxed and get the energy out of it. But it's not always relaxed. Sometimes I need to make them angry. There's been times when I've pissed off a lead singer in a punk band intentionally because he's controlled his vocals. He's this big moment in the studio and he's singing it properly, and it's like, this is not the half-naked, beer-spattered man I saw at the gig on Saturday night where he was tearing it up to the crowd and screaming in people's faces. Like, where'd that guy go? And so I'll go in there and piss him off and try and get him into that mode and that mindset. Or if it's a small ballad song about a lost romance or a breakup, unfortunately, we need to put the singer back into that mindset. Let's put some photos up of your ex. How did you feel when that happened? And because you can hear that emotion intake. So I think that's the number one reason that people like songs is emotion. You can say like, I like this person's haircut, or I like that beat. Musicians are a bit different. They're like, check out this snare sound. But normal people, normies, the muggles will generally prefer to like stuff because of emotion. There's something going through at that time when they hear that song. And so you got to instill emotion and stuff. And I think over the years, you learn there's different chord patterns, there's progressions, there's melodic contours, there's gear, there's EQ patterns and compression to make something sound smooth and relaxing, or aggressive and hard, or angry or sad or happy, or whatever that vibe is. As I get older, I tend to like a little bit more pop music because it's a happy vibe. That's the emotion I'm going for. But the punk in me still loves, it's not necessarily anger with most punk bands. It's a oppression against the man, against society. And, I'm not the greatest fan of the government, so bring on the punk.
I've met a lot of punk fans, and my ex-girlfriend was a punk fan, and they're always very happy people. Same with metalheads. I love heavy metal, but I know a lot of people that love heavy metal, and they always strike me as very happy, upbeat people. I was in a metal band when I first got started, and
I think a lot of people think metal is angry, but it's power. So it's a powerful thing. Like, I'm in charge. I'm some Scandinavian metal lord. God.
That's right.
Not all bands like that, but it's, I think just channeling that emotion and trying to help the artist find that and deliver that, because they're often very nervous in the studio because this is their big moment. They've been, their whole lives, I've learned to play music, I've learned to write and sing. I've written this song, which is an enormous mountain in itself, and that needs to be honoured, that the time and effort they've spent over the last 15, 20 years of their life learning this instrument, let alone crafting this song and having the guts to come in and sing this and have their lyrics and everything exposed to someone is a great honour. So we want to make them feel safe with that in this environment. And then we want to make sure they kind of not just deliver it on key and in time, but with some feeling and some emotion. That lighting, getting the mood right, getting it comfortable, take your shoes off, sit down, release a swarm of bees in there, whatever we need to do to get that vibe happening.
Because we've all heard about Adele's Someone Like You.
Yes.
The demo version of that, which was cut, I think, after she'd broken up, and it was the demo, and then the story goes that the label then did up the proper version, but used the demo because she was in that
state,
in that state of the breakup vibe, and it came across, and you can hear it, and the vocals they're not 100% perfect or a little pitchy, but I mean, we prefer to hear that. I feel like a muggle because I always go for vibe when I'm listening to music. So.
Did you forget that when you're playing sometimes? Like
absolutely.
You go I want that perfect tone. I slipped on this little note. It's like, dude, but the feeling was great on it. I've got gear can do a lot, and I can fix pitch, though we shouldn't. I can fix timing, but there's no knob to turn up the vibe or the emotion.
The vibe knob.
Yeah, the vibe. There's probably a plug-in for it somewhere. We'll make one. AI might have one. It's so important that it's honoured, and I think that little shakiness in a voice or a little slip on a note on a guitar is irrelevant. And it's funny, when I'm in the band and I'm playing as a muso, I'm on stage and I'm totally in my head and not releasing enough and so worried about whether I'm going to hit that next chord properly or hit this note. And sometimes if I'm more relaxed, I'm not worrying about any of that stuff and letting out the vibe. I think all the best shows I've played have been just more about the energy that I've put out. And the small shows are terrifying, where there's like 10 of my friends sitting 4 meters away from me. And they're all musos, and I produce all their bands, and they've got so seemingly some sort of respect for me before the show. Like, oh God.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
I mean, gigging around Brisbane, playing covers, the hardest gigs for me is always the one where it's a small venue and there's one person sitting right in front of me, as opposed to a packed house at like the Pineapple when there's 500 people. The smaller the crowd, the harder it is. I'm not saying it's for everyone, but I've found that. And
totally. I remember the first time playing Big Day Out. We don't have Big Day Out anymore in Australia, but that I was terrified like before, very nervous. But as soon as I got on stage, I realised no one is looking at me. No one can see anything. The heads are all down there. There's like 30,000 people out there. Easy, way more relaxing than playing a small club in a small venue. You're just having fun. And no one really notices what you're doing. I think being able to get into that vibe all the time is healthy. Even big artists are insecure. I think everyone goes through periods of, not just periods, but I've seen huge artists on stage at major festivals crying before going out that stage. And then, someone's shaking them, slapping them, gas! And then running out and, you see them as a golden god from the front with all that confidence, like, I rock. But inside they're crying. It's a little bit of that, you put on that facade or you fake it and then you start believing it. That can go too far where your ego sort of loses control. It's like having an ego and being in control, but also not fully believing your own crap sometimes. You've got to have a balance between those two worlds. And a producer's good for that. Because, if you're in a band, it's difficult for a guitarist to comment on the drums and the drummer to comment on the bass. As a producer, I can step in and cut this, turn that down. This sucks. This is amazing. Because I'm not in the band and I'm not one of the 4 members. And so I have a lot more poise to do that. And it's reading people and paying attention. Who's leading this band? Where's the song written? Who's the person that's really picky? Who doesn't mind too much? What would I like to change? And a lot of time it's like the shit sandwich. I've referred to it as. It's not my thing. Whereas like it's too busy, because everyone plays all the time throughout a song. And if you're standing there with the guitar, you should be playing in the verse, because it's like, what am I supposed to do if I'm not playing in the verse? It's like, dance.
Yeah.
So I might want the guitars not to be in the verse, and I'll talk to the guitar saying like, I love your chorus guitar tone. Maybe we could not play in the verse to give it space to the bass. And then when you come back in the chorus, it's going to sound massive.
Yeah.
So the compliment insult, if you like, I think I don't want to compliment the shit sandwich, as we call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a producer, I'm trying to serve the song, but also trying to think about how this is going to benefit the artist. And, you know, it's hard to make money. I know what they sound like live because I would never record a band I hadn't sort of seen live.
Yeah.
And so really important to see how they function in that space as well, particularly because the streaming royalties are so pathetic these days.
Yeah, right.
Probably not, pathetic's not even a strong enough word.
Right.
But it fluctuates over the years. And so most artists are making their money off live touring and merchandise. So if we record something in here, I want to make the best possible version of that song. Yep. But it also needs to be functional for this artist to go and push forward. If we're going to have thousands of string sections and all these bagpipes in the recording, no one ever goes for the bagpipes. Yep. I'll keep pushing.
Two Aussie artists.
Yeah. I'm always
we claim the bagpipe. What have we got? John Farnham and AC/DC.
Yeah.
You know, it's so... Yeah. Who was first? AC/DC was first, I think. But it's like
such a horrifically awesome instrument.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's rude and loud.
Yeah.
But
it's an incredible when you hear.
Yeah. It's even live and a real person.
Yeah. When you hear a bagpipe. Yeah. What do you call it? Ensemble or just a group of bagpipes playing together? It's quite impressive.
A backpack of bagpipes.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you call it.
Bagpipers.
Yeah. It's phenomenal, even with the kettle drum too. So how did you get started? How did you we're talking like late 90s, you graduated high school, and then
97.
You told me once you were studying rocket engineering.
Engineering and computer science.
And
robotics,
and you got bored, so you went to music.
Yeah, I'd always played piano. So my mum taught me to play piano when I was younger, and there was times of being forced to play piano and like, I want to do this, but then having fun with it. So I'm really glad my mum gave me that sort of musical grounding. Yeah. I was never amazing at it. But yeah, I did engineering and robotics when I left high school, and it was boring, I guess. It was like, I realized we were making the microchips and making the computers, and I didn't want to be the person making them. I wanted to be the person using them. Like we were making all these fun things for other people to do cool stuff with. Right. It's like, I want to actually use them. I don't want to be the person sitting there making the damn thing.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So how long I've known you, and you are always like,
I knew I was interested in that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know, engineering I was really good at, and I liked sound. I didn't know there was a thing called sound engineering. Right. Like 19, no idea. So I was like, if I could do like something with sound and physics and engineering. Yeah. And then I got into the Conservatorium of Music, moved to the Gold Coast from Brisbane, because I grew up in Brisbane. And then spent 3 years there. By the second year, I was lecturing. So I was teaching at 21. I don't think I was a good lecturer. I was a lecturer, but it's been 25 years of teaching. Yeah.
I'm sure you would have been a good lecturer.
I would have been fun, and I would have been a muso, would cut the crap. Yeah. May have swore a little bit too much, but I think that kids like that. But yeah, I think I didn't have electronic equipment. I didn't have any muso friends, and I actually won a PlayStation tournament. I won a whole bunch of money from this PlayStation tournament, and I went to a music lab in Brisbane and bought a Roland SP808 sampler. Right. With like a 4-track and sampling buttons, zip disc. Yeah. It's still in the box, so I'd never sell it. And that's where I kind of got started. Just started sampling things and hitting buttons. Didn't have any musical friends. I remember the first time I heard a real live drum kit, I was maybe sitting a meter from it on the ground as we all just gather around. Never heard like an actual acoustic drum kit. And then it scared the shit out of me. Like, I had no idea it was going to be that loud. Yep. Obviously, I would not sit a meter from a drum kit these days. I was very green back in the day. Yeah. The honours at the Conservatorium. I've since got a physics degree in astrobiology.
I didn't know that.
Didn't know. I did that for fun one night.
For fun?
I was watching a YouTube video on astrobiology, and I clicked through something and I watched a couple more, and they had like a quiz. I'm like, I'll do this quiz. And then about an hour later, it was like, congratulations, you've completed this unit of astrobiology. Wow. I'm like, I've done what? And so I enrolled online in this course and finished it in about 6 months. It just clicked. Everything made sense. Anyway, but that was... It was like, I thought I was just watching like docos, is what it felt like, doing an online uni course. But I got masters in creative industries these days, and I've been working at the Con and SAE up in Brisbane for quite a while now. Yep. I lecture like 1 or 2 days a week. I do all my lectures online from here, which is fantastic. Yep. It's really nice to be able to help younger artists and musicians, who are the most people that I teach, like get out of their skin we're doing a new subject called Artist and Vision at the moment, and it's career development. It's about, encouraging them all to be artists, and I'm like yelling at them to get their stuff on Spotify. Like, this song is amazing.
Yeah.
Release it. Let's have a look at your press photos, and getting through all that sort of confidence building side, because they've got so much good music, but everyone's very scared to put things up and release stuff. And, I say just release under a fake name if that's what's stopping you.
Yeah.
And I have an artist under a fake name that you don't know about and no one knows about in my life.
Yeah.
And I have maybe like 25 tracks on there, 25 singles. And it started as me being too scared to tell my friends and family this is me as an artist.
Right.
And so I just started releasing it under this pseudonym with no photos and just artwork. Yep. And it's fun. It's kind of like my own little private secret thing. I've got like a group of fans. It's maybe like 10,000 plays. It's not heaps, but it's, it's...
Where can we find this?
You can't. It's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, but you don't know the name.
It's out of the bag now, so we have to...
I've told the story before to many students. So I was like, what is the name? I'm like, no. My wife doesn't even know about it.
Okay.
Doesn't know the name of it.
Right.
And the songs aren't amazing, but it's just, what do you need to get that song out there? People are a lot of times scared to tell their friends and family, this is my new single, my new song, particularly getting off the ground.
Yeah.
But release it. If you like it, there's going to be someone else on this planet that loves it. And that's always the secret. If you want to be popular in your own city, like we live on the Gold Coast, so it's very surf rock, maybe metal, a little bit of punk. And if you're not in that, doing that, it's not going to be popular around here. But there's a big planet out there. And if it's, Belgium, that people love your stuff, then sell your stuff in Belgium. You don't have to move to Belgium, live on the Gold Coast. But, you find your tribe, I think, around the world. And it's that confidence in getting out there is so important.
It's interesting you touched on, if you like it and you vibe with it, it's most likely someone else is going to vibe with it because, Noel Rogers, the producer for guitar player, producer.
Noel Rogers.
Yeah, Noel Rogers.
That's the
producer, but it's mainly guitar player.
Sign language.
Yeah. Did you ever see him talking to Avicii? So when Avicii was working on Wake Me Up before it was out, and Avicii was talking there in the studio like, this is a fusion of country and EDM, and Noel Rogers is there and he's like, oh man, someone's going to vibe with that. If you vibe with that, someone's going to vibe with that too. But it's so true, isn't it? Because there's certain things that we go, oh my God, it's amazing. We love it. But for the next person, it's, oh no, I don't like that. It's not my cup of tea.
It's real hard, that problem, because you often ask your friends, and if your friends are musos hate everything that isn't their stuff.
Yes.
We don't sell to musicians. So I don't ask my musician friends. I do ask, I show it to my partner, and her job, Louise, her job is to say, I love it. And that's kind of you learn when you're a partner of a musician, because she's a musician herself as well. And obviously she's scared to show me stuff that she's written and played because I'm a producer and I do this all day. Your job as a partner, for anyone listening, if your partner is a musician and they show you something, your job is to say, I love it. It is amazing. You're amazing. Doesn't matter how good or bad it sounds. Because it's just you showing it to someone for the first time, and they value your opinion because they love you or they're friends with you. And so that's so important. But it's the general public likes all sorts of weird different things. There's some horrible songs on the charts, but everyone's got their own personal taste and different stuff. So I think, if you make a song and you make lots of choices and changes in the studio or the songwriting to what you think people are going to like I've changed this chord pattern, I've changed these guitar sounds, people are really into this, I want to get on Triple J, I want to get that Triple J sound, and it doesn't work out, you're going to be really upset that you changed everything and it didn't work.
That's an interesting point.
If you stick to your guns, whether it works or doesn't work, you've made something that I like and I was happy with. But there will be some other weirdo in this planet that likes the same weird stuff that you're into. So, you just try and satisfy yourself when you're writing for yourself. And I think that's what you do as a producer too. If I hear a guitar riff or a snare sound, I'm just honestly telling them whether I like it or don't like it. And, being able to make a decision is a good producing skill. If you can't make a decision, you're like, I don't know if I like it. Terrible producer. And to know that, you just got to listen to lots of good music. And this is one of the reasons, this is one of the reasons I think that a lot of DJs become producers, and the true term of like an actual disc jockey, someone that's listened to lots of music is, producers listen to hours and hours of music a day. I listen to everything on the radio and everything on Spotify. And so I have a giant volume of snare sounds in my head of ones I love and ones I hate, guitar sounds I love and I hate. So when someone's playing me something and they go, do you think this is any good? I go, no, it's too bassy, it's too edgy, we need to take the grit out of it. Like straight away, I'll give them 10 things that I like or don't like about it and know exactly what I want. But it's just my opinion at the end of the day. So if you don't like the stuff that the producer likes, then don't hire them.
Yeah. Everyone's got their sound, right?
Yeah, we get a lot of people kind of asking me to produce stuff, inquiries, and they haven't listened to what I've done. Yeah. And that's always concerning. Like I would intentionally ask, like, what have I done that you like? Or what do you like off our website? They haven't researched enough to see what I actually do, or they've just heard that I've won some award or done something.
Right.
It's not someone I want to work with.
You've won some awards too, haven't you?
I've got a bag of awards. I used to like awards. When you're younger, you're like,
right.
Oh, if I only had that thing, that shiny trophy, that's my goal in life. And if that's your goal, that's fine. Yeah. When you get them, you're kind of like, oh, this is horrible. It's like band comps. You know, if you don't win band comps, you get real upset that your music's been judged by someone. I've judged heaps of band comps too, so I know the feeling from both sides of the fence. We've won band comps from both sides of the fence.
Yep.
And then when you win, you feel bad that the other bands didn't win. Like, music's not a competition. And I think that's the thing I'm learning as I get older. Even learned like 10 years ago. And as a sculptor as well, like the art world, music or sculpture is such a funny animal, like that people are judging artwork, songs and music and giving an award based on popularity. Right. There are some music competitions, I think, that where the judging panel are musicians or songwriters that I value. Like the International Songwriting Competition have a panel of musicians, and like you can see them picking good songs. Yep. A lot of other music awards, I think, are based on popularity, which I know from running a label is money, is promotion, is advertising, is a whole bunch of things that have nothing to do with a good song or good music. You don't want to seem ungrateful when you get an award, but honestly, they're all sitting in a box up in the house in the cinema room, and it's like it feels like a box of shame. Right. There's one on the shelf, I think, in there that I won for like Music Champion of the Year on the Gold Coast, because it felt like a thing that was being thanked for all the effort I'd done running a street press and helping out the city with music. But
healthy competition, I think, is good. I think it's a positive when you see. I know what you're talking about.
No, that's fine.
I know what you're with certain competitions that maybe
we'll just say the name of them.
Slanted towards certain
sales or something.
I see it in education with the Queensland Catholic Music Festival with the Cath Ed schools, when they have students that come in and they'll have a panel of judges, that it's very much based on, okay, so, did you meet this criteria? Yeah. Nothing to do with an agenda per se. It's just, can you play at that level? Did you perform it well? And did it fit? I was talking to a judge recently, and he said, one of the biggest things I like to do is sit back and just go, how did it feel? Yeah. Was it musical? Yeah. While still looking at, the score and everything that has to be looked at. But and it also is the Battle of the Rock Bands, which is a great festival. Same thing too. Like it's just
it's a good launching point for so many young bands. I'm not against them, but it feels wrong.
Yeah, I know exactly what. Yeah. That's, I think. Was that sort of what you're trying to do, like the healthy competition compared to...
Yeah, it's good to get out there, but like what do you... I mean, you're trying to compete to be the most entertaining, which is fine if that's what the criteria is. But a lot of people get in their head that they're competing like this is the best musician.
Oh, yeah.
And so they might have got the better music and you've won, so you've got better music. And it's like, what does that even mean, better music? Does it draw the emotion out more? Have you played your guitar with faster notes and faster tempos and more accurately? Yeah. Like, is that a better musician? Because we both know a lot of conservatorium graduates that are fantastic musicians, but need a shot of vodka to play a riff or a solo well. And then I know other musicians that have come in the studio that shred and are like absolutely all feel. They don't play the same thing twice, but like one or two takes. I'm like, did you get that? We need to that take was phenomenal. Yep. But they don't know what notes they're playing. They're like, it was like this fourth jangly thing and the second steel bit, the frets, and like, that second steel bit. Right. And they're like, what is going on? Yeah. But I think both camps are fine. I'm not against, classical musicians, but it's sometimes the more you learn music theory, not the worse you get, but you get sort of caught up in a world that most people don't concern themselves with. Like, we're not watching the best films at the cinema. Like I generally prefer to go watch Hulk smash some stuff than a really nice, art house film, because I'm not hugely into cinema and film. And I'm sure there's some beautifully made films with better scripts and better lighting and no CGI and like emotion showing somewhere, but they don't come through And so we all have things that we like and dislike.
Yeah.
You know, we can't be passionate into every single art form, but I'm certainly much more aware of when I'm making art and I'm making something to be fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes try not to cross those borders over and compromise too much. Like I'll talk to the client, find out what are they trying to achieve with this recording?
Yeah.
What do you want with your music career? Where are you at the moment? Are you trying to make money because this is the only skill you have and you're destitute and you can't find food and rent? Well, let's do something more commercial.
Yeah.
Or, you know, is it not putting my heart and soul into a job that is very commercial? If it's a TV ad and like, I want the strings to be soaring. It's like, what does the client want? Tick it off, deliver what they want.
Yeah.
And if I want to make something arty, I have this studio and I will come here at 2:00 in the morning and turn up all the amps and make some art for myself. Yeah. And that's our band at the moment, Super Fun Down Under.
Fun Down Under.
So we toured Japan last year and that's the band's about. It's about having fun.
Yeah.
You know, whatever that means. It's cyberpunk electro, I guess, if I had to pick a genre.
That's exciting.
Yeah, which is punk, but with synths, I guess I would say, and guitars. And as you know, I've been playing guitar for now about 6 months, so I finally learned to play guitar. I have more guitars than chords I know on guitar. So I play keys and bass a little bit, but and I learned to play bass off a whim for a band that was on my label in about 2 weeks before a Japan tour for them. And I remember that first tour, I had all the notes written on the side of the bass, like on a piece of masking tape, because I had been playing for 2 weeks. But yeah, it's fun, and it's supposed to be fun for us. And it's interesting to acknowledge the fact that I enjoy jamming with my friends, and I don't care if we're at a major festival or just hanging out in the live room jamming. Like, I'm happy doing that for the rest of my life. Yeah. We might as well go on tour because we have the means and the equipment and, you know, the tax expense to go on tour and have fun with this. And I've been to Japan 18 times on tour with so many bands. So it's a circuit I know well. But yeah.
That's a lot.
It is
18 times.
It is a lot of times. There's a whole bunch of menu stickers down here, but it's such an amazing city and it's such an amazing place to tour. There's so many venues and so many passionate people that love art. This country in Australia is very entertainment-based and sport-based. Okay. And people like music, but they tend to go and watch a band, or, you know, they want to go watch the footy. They work hard during the week and they go on Friday night. They don't want to go home Friday night and let's consume some art. You know, they want to be entertained, and that's what I mean. Doesn't mean they don't like music, but they don't appreciate art for its sake of art as much, the general population.
You touched on the studio before. Like you said, you had the studio to make lots of art.
Yes.
Let's talk about the studio, and because you built this from the ground up, so it wasn't a shed.
It was a shed. It was a horse shed. So you're in like a stable at the moment.
Yep.
It's just like a Titan shed. So we bought acreage, and so I'd always wanted some space to move. We lived in a house for 18 years. I bought that when I was 22.
How long did this take to build?
About a year.
Yeah.
About 8 ton worth of plasterboard.
Wow.
So we gutted what was here and laid out the rooms and floated the floors, separated the walls.
Yep.
There's like triple layer 16 mil fire check with green glue in between it all, double isolated rooms, floated lifted ceiling.
Yep.
So very soundproof. And it was a bit of a test because we're building a much bigger studio up the hill, which I've told many people. And I think I tell people just so I lock myself into doing that because it's going to be an enormous undertaking.
What's scary and exciting about this one, though, is that you told me it was soundproof to 144 dB.
Yeah. Which is intense.
Huge.
Yeah. That's at 2K. You go down to the lower frequencies, we're about 86, 87 dB at low bass. It's incredibly soundproof. So I did an excessive amount on this building because I wanted to see how soundproof I could actually make it if I adhered to like an over-the-top amount of isolation and separation and triple leaf walls and all that. So it's I've built a lot of studios over the years for people, and it's usually other people's studios and other people's money. And so this one was for me. And so we didn't hire contractors. I literally, Jake and I put every plaster panel up and
it's phenomenal.
Every nail and screw from the frame.
Looks amazing too.
Thank you. It's
a good feel too. I mean,
it feels good to be in there. It's traumatic. Like I look at corners and I was up there on a ladder crying at 1 a.m. in 2021 with plaster dust in my eyes and just like, this is never going to get done, and my arms shaking and bruised. But so that's most of that's gone. I just remembered it now though. So
it paid off.
Thank you.
But he's saying like it's a good feel to be here. It's always an amazing studio to be in because we've been to plenty of studios where they are, which is still fantastic. Just very here's the studio.
Yeah.
But it's good to be also in a place sometimes where, there's a real good vibe to it.
It's like a hug in this room. And that's what I want. Yeah. There's so many studios that are labs. They're like, don't touch this, don't put your feet up on that. And it's just, musos, you can't make art in a science lab. Like, I love gear and I love the technicality of all the equipment and, some of the stuff I've built myself and bought over the last 20 years, but it's got to feel great. Acoustically, the space is perfect because it's built from scratch. So everything's off center and non-symmetrical. So it's, there's no standing waves at all. And the treatment was more about liveness because there's so many studios, they just put up curtains and baffling and it's treated and it's just dead. Yeah. They've sucked the life out of it and they've fixed the high end, but the bass is just welling around the room. So it's really about having rooms with like a decent reverb tail. Like the live room sounds fantastic with like a 1.2 second, beautifully even spread out acoustic reverb in there. And the drums, it sounds like a room 4 times the size with the kit in there, which is
great sounding room.
Yeah, thank you. That's what needed to happen, and that's, I think, where great studios are built on that great sounding drum room and that live room. It's, we've had a year and a half where the bands are here and I take those albums and I can hear the room mics and the drum sound on those albums. It's like we're building a legacy for the Green Studios, this one's called. Yep. But as we build more as we go up the hill, they can always be bigger. Like I'm always like, I remember getting halfway through this construction and everyone's like, this is amazing, it looks so great. I'm like, I was so grumpy. I was like, so small, it's too small. I fucking hate it. And everyone was like, stop dropping down on yourself. It looks amazing. I'm like, it's too small. Yep. But I think, we could have the room 3 times the size of this. I might still be like, it's big enough for an SSL console.
It can always be bigger, right? We can always have a bigger room.
Where am I going to put that 18-piece scar band?
Absolutely.
But thank you. It's
96 channel 9K SSL.
Yeah. It's a lovely space, and I think everyone comments on that. And there's a nice gold door. Everyone signs their name over there. Yeah. And it's just one of those places where you can come and hang out and feel relaxed. And we're currently just working on the landscaping outside, as you've seen. Yeah. So all the paving and the rainforesty kind of vibe out there. But inside, it's pretty close. I see like all the skirting missing over there, and there's little trim, but I don't think anyone noticed that until I haven't
noticed. No,
don't look over there.
But now I'm looking.
Don't look at that joint over there. But the combination of that, the wood and the different textures, but also the acoustical properties of the wood and the plasterboard and the paneling, and getting all that right is a tuning method. It's not just I had an idea in my head and then setting it up and running test microphones and
were you nervous the room. When you first did the test? Like, was it going to be soundproof?
I've taught acoustics for so many years at university, and like I've done the maths on it and I've done the calculations and I knew the room sound. I remember Jake was new to that whole world. I remember when it was completely empty, there was this epic verb in here, which I knew was going to happen. Yeah. And we have a couple of videos somewhere, and you clap and get this. Yeah. And Jake was stunned and it was like, what are we going to do? It's like, well, we just start doing what we need to do. So you bring a couch in, makes a huge difference. Yep. Bring the rug in, let's start putting the panels up on these walls. Yep. And you start just identifying where I knew there was going to be paneling and things were going, like where these things were that had been sitting in the garage in the shipping container. Yep. And, the combination of having those soft materials and the curtains that I knew were going to be in here and just trying to balance that out. So we have that nice, we have Tasmanian oak cardboard flooring in the room in there, and that angle with the oak on the panels and the spotted gum has a different sound. And I think just balancing out those frequencies and getting that tone right, it was just a supply issue and cost more than anything. I'm good with building big things, like the sculptures I do. Things get harder for me the more fine they get. So as I get closer to the end, like painting is a real pain for me. It's so stressful because I can't get it perfect. Like I'll keep going over the same part 10 times with a brush and it's never perfect, and I'm making it worse. So Kirk, one of our good friends, Kirk Mesner from Sook, came in, and I was on my last legs with this room, and I'd did so much work to get it finished, and I was ready to collapse from the painting. I couldn't do it. And he came save me, and he came and painted the room, did a great job of the finishing job of the painting, and saved my life.
Well, it looks amazing. I mean, every time I come here, I love it. It's always a great place to be.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's fun. It's nice.
AI.
Yes.
You've mentioned quite a few times, because you're teaching AI now, but you've mentioned quite a few times how you're excited about AI and how that's, how musicians are going to, well, they already are using AI to support their music. And what's the next thing you see for AI? Because I don't know. I'm not.
No, that's fine.
I mean, I feel behind with AI, but
it's a buzzword topic at the moment. So I'm teaching AI for arts at SAE in Brisbane. It's like a new AI for artists subject that I've written. So we've got musicians and graphic designers and video people. It's a bit of a buzzword. I think the first thing is we have no AI. Yeah. There's no true AI. Right. So it's artificial intelligence. The singularity doesn't exist yet. Okay. So they're machine learning tools. Okay. And we have had machine learning tools for quite a number of years, like the text that predicts the word you're trying to spell, or spell check as being a tool. Yep. And I think that's just understanding and using it as a tool, the way that those things are being used. Like, everyone was terrified spell check was going to ruin the world in the late early 90s when it was coming out, and it's just helped people learn to spell better. Yeah. So it's just a tool we would use. It's certainly going to change things in arts, but it's interesting at the moment that, there's so much talk about it being used for art, and it's just like, that's the one job we don't want you to take. Like, I want you to take my boring job so I can go make art. Right. But I think there's no stopping it. It's going to save money for companies, and money and capitalism always wins in those conversations. Okay. So I think it's going to exist and it's going to be around, but it's just should be used as a tool. And if there's something that AI can do to take a load off you or to make a job that you're doing quicker, and that may be a job of writing music and doing music. Like, if you're not good with lyrics, there's so many good AI lyric writing things that can start as prompts, and people are using it as a prompt tool for new creation and ideas and ideation. But you shouldn't be afraid of it. I think it will knock the bottom 10, 15% of the market off. The hobbyists that are doing average stuff with things like graphic design and arts. And it's sad that I would, to some degree, pick AI to make some artwork for an album, because I'm into the music and the artwork is important. But it's like, if I can use AI to make the artwork myself and make what I have in my head instead of paying someone $500 or $1,000 to make the art, I'm probably going to do that. And then I also think about my friend who's a graphic designer and artist who's now missing out on that job. Right. But this has been going on for quite a number of years. Any session player would know that how many virtual instruments and contact native instruments we use to replace strings and drums and all sorts of things. Yeah. It's an inevitable progression. But I think the better way to see it would be as a tool. And I'm not necessarily a pusher of AI or none. I just say explore the tool, click on them, because some of them are fantastic and really help and are useful. If you're the sort of person who doesn't like AI writing your lyrics or writing a beat or whatever that thing is, then don't use it. Like, it's okay to want to do those things from scratch with your hands and like, I want to write this that doesn't feel human. But I think it's just another tool we would use. And even a guitar or a snare drum or a mouse is just another tool that we use. Yeah, and I just see that as a musical instrument as much as I see anything else. It's not like that guitar just fell off the tree and you started strumming it. Like the tuning and the lugs and the nuts and the machining of things on a drum shell, they're all built tools. Like, probably vocal or voice is the only natural tool we have. Anything you play musically other than your voice.
Well, we've heard some pretty spectacular AI, how do you put it? AI put together songs that sound like people we know.
Yeah.
And it's pretty exciting. I mean, I think it's exciting because I look at it and just go, wow, that's what technology is doing. Yeah. But I mean, as you say, like, how it can assist, like how, as a tool, how it can assist you. How it can assist you, I think, is, the important thing.
Yeah.
As you said, we're not going to stop it.
No, you're not going to stop it.
It's going to be around. So
embrace it and check out the tools. There's some crazy ones. There's one that will write you a song with a genre and lyrics and vocals on the spot. I could show you quickly right now. And it's unbelievable. And there's other ones that I can sing a part in and I can put it in. Kits.app is a great one that I can upload a vocal and change the vocalist to 10 different vocals, female, male vocals. And we've been using it for backing vocals and gang vocals and choruses.
See, that's interesting. I mean, as a producer, within a production, if you were looking at, which type of voice would go on my track, because how many times you go, this is going to work. You're like, oh no, it didn't. But if you could have that in rendition, something that sounds like, what you're trying to audition, that's pretty positive.
Yeah, whether it's just for a demo or even the final production. Yeah. And the fact that I can sing the part and I can then melodyne my vocals and get it sounding like in key and then transfer that and have a female vocalist on it without even leaving the studio is such a helpful tool. And yes, I've got some amazing female vocalists, including my wife, that could come down and sing on that. Right. But it's another tool, it's another plug-in, I guess I would use. It's not an AI, but it will sort of bring about the point where we're going to have segments on Spotify and iTunes where it's human-made music and AI-made music. And it's just a preference. Yeah. Some people don't care. I mean, just like, do you mind seeing CGI in a film, or it's not real fire? Because we're not into film as much. And so
I love Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I think whether you're trying to recreate Sauron or you're trying to make a vocal or a guitar riff or part, it's just another tool.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a true AI thing. It's just a tool to use. But it is scary when you're a little bit anti-tech, or maybe you're sort of worried that it's going to take away that thing from you.
Yeah.
But no one can take away art from anyone. If you want to make art, you make art. You hammer that thing, you mold that rock, you write that song. Just because AI is doing it, it's not going to mean it's going to take it away from you. And it's not human, but then you would argue, is that art or not art? If it gets to the point where it's so good that you can't tell the difference, it becomes more a matter of what you tell the people. Like, I've seen art exhibitions in the States where they've had everyone look at the art and buy the art at a nice exhibition, and at the end of the night tell everyone that it's all AI made and all the photos under each of the pieces of art and the description of the artist were fake.
Right.
And they didn't,
no one knew.
If they didn't know, they didn't care.
Right.
They gave everyone their money back, but that was the exhibition, was to showcase that people, if they think it's real and made by a human, they accept it. But as soon as they think it's made by a robot or AI, they don't think it's worth it. And that's just more of a comment on how we value art and what you want to call as art. And this is that balance that I think a producer deals with every day. You're the connection between art and commercialism. Right. You're trying to make art and you're trying to help this artist deliver what they do, but you're also trying to create a product that they can use to earn income from. And I love making art, but I also like not dying and starving to death. They're two of my favorite things. Yep. So, I got to pay my rent and I got to buy food like everyone else. So it's a balance between those two things. And these days I tend to not try and compromise too much. I try to not try and, make money off my art. I have projects where we're doing this to make an income. Right. So this is a very commercial band, or this is a commercial song, or a commercial job for a film or a TV ad or whatever it happens to be. And then this over here is just pure art. Yeah. And so I don't care if we make money or not. I'm just going to go and scream fuck at the government over here into this mic and set things on fire and have some fun. Yep. And sometimes that stuff even sells better, but it is a problem that every artist kind of goes through. Yep. But I think a producer and myself as a business owner and a label think a little bit more about that. So we talk to our clients a lot more about those sort of things before launching into production. Right. It's not just about the snare sound. It's like, what are you hoping this recording is going to achieve for you? Right. So we can kind of tailor it to that, find out. Yep. No, everyone's the same and everyone has a different vibe on it. Yep. But sorry, went on a tangent. No, this is good. The AI stuff is, I think it's exciting, and just check out the tool. Don't be like reading some post thinking it's going to take over the world or this can do this. Sign into the thing, make the free account, click on the thing and use it. It's so ingrained in stuff to make pictures and artwork is so well. And video ones are coming out very soon. But there's some great music ones that I've now started responding with these AI songs instead of using emoticons and responses. And I've moved past memes into meme music now. So I'll write that song with the AI tool and kick it out in about 5 seconds. I could do one right now about this interview. And it sounds half decent. Yeah, fantastic. It's amazing. So upwards and onwards to the future. What's the future look like for Serotonin Productions? And it's pretty exciting because you're involved in producing, lecturing. For those of you who don't know, Guy also is an avid art sculptor as well, but not just as a hobbyist. You've entered competitions down here and you've won awards for that. I've seen them. They're brilliant. They're giant steel monstrosities or insane creations. Yes. Depending on the wording behind it. I saw the Migaloo at your last place out on the front lawn in all its glory. Yeah, that was So Migaloo's a white whale, armback whale. Yep. So I made a 1-to-1 steel sculpture of Migaloo. I was dying of cancer. Is the best way to put it. I had cancer, and it was not going well at all. I'm diabetic, and there was lots of tubes and lots of medication. And I always wanted to sculpt. I always wanted to weld, and I was going to do it in my retirement. And when it turned out I wasn't going to make it that far, I remember I left the hospital and went to Trade Tools. If they want to give me a sponsorship, and bought a welder on the way home, watched a YouTube video for about 30 seconds on how to weld, and then started building this 1.3 ton 1-to-1 scale replica of Migaloo the white whale with piano wire. It's 300 meters of tuned instrument. It's a giant steel stringed instrument, so it plays in the wind. It generates power every day. That Humpback Whales write these songs in E major 7, which is like all their songs are in the same key. And so I wrote this song.
Is that right?
Called Migaloo's Song.
Right.
And the sculpture played the song as the wind played through it with rotating fans that hit the piano wires and the strings. And that was an amazing song that we had like 30 or 40 musicians and friends on. And Migaloo even came to the festival. It was down on the beach, Swell Festival on the Gold Coast. That was the first thing I'd ever built. And I won People's Choice Award and Environmental Awareness Award.
Right.
So I moved from dying of cancer to being an award-winning sculptor. And I think that whale saved my life. It almost killed me a few times. I remember I got trapped under it once because it fell off the stand and I couldn't move and my phone was not there. And I was just like, I was under there for about 3 hours, just like, I'm dead. Migaloo's going to kill me. And some friends came home and helped get the whale off. But it's, a lot of people saw that as insane. I remember I built it a little bit too big and had to remove half the garage to get it out. And then the crane picked it up and then dropped it the first time because I didn't realize how heavy it was. It was like I had to rebuild the whole thing.
Right.
And then, we're getting it on this giant truck down to the beach at the Gold Coast. It's been on an adventure. It's been the home of the arts. It's been to Pacific Coast Shopping Centre. It's a big undertaking and it was fun. And since then, I've just built other ridiculous giant steel spinning. They're all been musical instruments or, at a front to stop Adani from building mines or whatever it happens to be that I care about at that time.
Okay.
And I've managed to keep them all. And so they're all on the property around here. And, I like steel because it's permanent and it's strong and it feels like I can just, measure and plan it. But then if I want to just grab this thing and just bend it this way, I will.
You can do it.
Oh, that looks good.
I
like that ability about it. That it's no workplace health and safety. It's not like a deck or a building.
Right.
It's a sculpture. So it can be anything I choose to be. And I like that I make them on my own and just, they're certainly fun with the power tools and the welding. But it's one undertaking to buy like $8,000 to $10,000 worth of steel and have that delivered in a big pile where you try to plan out what you need and then just, I've got this vision and it's difficult to explain it to everyone. The hardest part is drawing the concept drawing to enter the festivals. Yeah. So I prefer to just build them first because it's just like, oh man, I can't draw. How do I explain what's in my head without letting everyone know everything that's in my head because that's going to be terrifying.
Exciting. This has been good, Guy.
It's been wonderful having you here. You're here often in my studio.
Yes, I am here often.
You are the best guitarist I know, and I know a lot of guitarists. So whether take that as a...
I appreciate it. I can introduce you to some better ones.
Better though? Are they better though? Can they play like not just well, but what I need them to play at the same time? Because I've seen you adapt to country, to pop, to metal, to rock, depending on what I've brought you in on for different things. And not many people are that adaptive, I think.
Oh, thank you. I do my best.
You do great.
Leave your ego at the door and,
And so I've invited you to join my band this year and you're coming to Japan.
Yes, I'm coming to Japan this year.
The Super Fun Down Under. And we're going in August.
So. I can't wait. Yeah. It's going to be fantastic.
Terrifying.
I might be singing.
You are definitely going to be singing, which is terrifying.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Yep. Yeah, I've become the lead singer for the band, which is horrifying.
That's good. I'm glad I was the lead singer.
I mean, it's terrible.
No, I don't want to.
It's horrifying. When you're not used to that position, it's like, oh shit, I'm now the better singer in the band. This is terrifying. But it's going to be fun. We're going to have a great time.
Yep.
We're going to play your songs and some of our songs, and we're going to play. We're playing Brisbane very soon. Yep. But yeah, man, thank you so much for coming down.
Thanks for being on the show. This has been fantastic. And for any of you that are in the Gold Coast or Brisbane, Serotonin Productions on the Gold Coast.
Yes.
They can find you
at our website. serotoninproductions.com. But you have to Google Guy Cooper or Serotonin Productions. Guy Cooper. It'll come up. Hit my MySpace or any other website you can find.
MySpace. It's been great.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for chatting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Cheers.